We'll call the meeting to order. Did everybody have a chance to review the previous minutes?
Yes.
Did. I'd like to make a motion.
Hang on, Lance, your mic's not on.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from the last meeting as written.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Brenda Churchill voting aye.
Passes. Lance, you had a comment about B, reports and warrants.
Yeah, I think it might be prudent for us to move reports and warrants to board business at the end of the meeting. Not all of us have not everybody has a chance to review or discuss or ask the questions that they want to about the warrants. I think by putting it on the board business.
It would give the extra time that some
Yes.
people need to review.
Yes.
Okay. And is that a motion?
I would like to make that a motion, that we move reports and warrants to board business.
I'll 100% second that motion.
Seconded. Motion's been made and seconded to move reports and warrants from consent agenda to board business. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Brenda Churchill voting aye.
Excuse me.
Any opposed? There we go. So we will cover that at the end.
So does that mean Maria has to be here at the end of the meeting?
No,
No.
she's reports and warrants, not finances.
Thank you for, yeah, I would be calling.
No, that's
That'd be difficult to do.
no, so if we have any questions on those, it would be, they can't, well, I mean, I guess it can be changed by us at this point in time. But it would not be a question for Maria. It would be either a question for Mac or something that would have to be answered at a later date. So any questions we would have for you would be on the budget sheets, which is, if you want to hop into the hot seat.
I can do that. It's been a while.
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you.
Congratulations and all.
Thank you.
Do you want to give us just a quick update as to anything that you've seen that we should be aware of?
You will see on your warrants tonight that you're gonna be getting, all the direct tax that we have to
Okay.
pay for this year. But we do not have the library on there.
Okay, is your mic off?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay. Are you guys paying
Just so
attention?
you know what you're signing.
No,
Sorry,
I've already signed it.
I don't know if it's this one.
I can wait.
Okay,
Sorry, I am explaining, let me just explain.
Sorry.
I was explaining to Lance something I spoke to both of you earlier,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is B&H Photo, the equipment that they sent us, even though it was RMA'd and that it's supposed to be, it's no charge to us, B&H still sent us invoices. And I had said to Maria earlier, do not pay that invoice because here's the invoice that shows that got the credit assigned to it. There's gonna be 2 more invoices for that. Not that specific piece of equipment, but the 3 pieces of equipment that were causing the hum, what we believe was causing the hum.
okay.
So in here, Maria says she thinks she put them in the warrant somewhere.
I'm pretty sure
So
Kathy did, yeah.
I'm giving Lance the heads up, wherever that warrant is, we want to make sure that we notate, scratch, throw that out, whatever, so that when he's looking through the warrants and signing them,
Okay.
that he picks it up. That's all. I apologize for kind of running over your time.
Okay, she may have saved it for the next warrant, but I know that she was talking about it today, so.
Okay.
Is it there?
It is in
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
It is in there.
So can we
Okay.
can we strike that?
Can you
Yeah,
strike
just
that
strike it and just have one of you initial it.
Okay.
Have John, you can just initial it.
Oh, they sent you all of them?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to initial left-hand side.
Okay.
Maria, I can't hear you. Oh, you gotta turn your mic. Is your
It's
mic
on.
Turn it towards you, Maria, the direction.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
That's much better,
Okay.
So you want us to pull it out of the packet or leave it in the
You
packet?
can leave it in there and I can pull it out tomorrow. It's
Okay,
fine.
perfect. I
Yeah.
initialed it straight.
Do you want us,
Okay.
you want us to sign it with the strikeout stuff?
Yeah.
And you'll just amend it and
Yeah.
you can pay it based off that. Okay.
So I was telling Josh that you'll see direct tax in there this week. It should be on a separate warrant. So that should be all of the direct tax that was voted on, except for, the library, that they get it in December. And then whatever is left for the school, we also pay that in December as well. So those are the two that we will still have left to pay, but everything else is on there.
And I also saw in the mail, there was the delinquent tax letter that went out.
Yeah,
What was our number? Was that on there? I guess
It's on page 2.
did we?
say I don't have Kathy or whatever.
Okay, so we're not far off then. We actually had a pretty good,
I think it was like
Pretty good payment.
90,000.
yeah, $93,003. Okay,
And we've had a couple people come in since, I think we had someone come in today and pay, so.
excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's really all that I have.
Okay. Was there any questions or comments that when you were looking over the finances? I heard you talking.
Just that one
I
about the
was asking some
generator.
questions of Maria before the meeting, and she said she'll send me an email to just clarify one of them.
Okay.
It's just such a small number, and I
Yeah.
expect it to be larger, so I'm just trying to find out what exactly that is. And that's under just the heading generator on page 2. And then I was gonna ask about the taxes, which Josh took care of that. What's overpayment taxes?
So that's if, so taxes, people file homestead late, and then they've already paid, and so then they get a credit from the state for filing homestead. So then we have to repay them the difference because they've already overpaid their taxes.
Okay,
Or they had land use, more land go into land use, so then they get a credit, so then we have to pay them back that amount.
and is there any kind of penalty for filing late
Yes, there is. There's a penalty, and they get charged that
by the state or by us?
by the state.
Do we have the capability of doing that? Because it actually affects our bottom line and our rolls, tax rolls.
Don't,
That's something that I'm not sure.
I don't believe we do.
Okay, just curious. The things that makes me curious.
Yeah.
Trust me, I hate when people file them late too, because it makes it harder for us too. 'Cause our numbers constantly change. But they're not supposed to be allowed to do that anymore. The deadline is final now, so shouldn't see any more of that.
Thanks.
What's the deadline, remember?
I think it's the end of October.
End of October.
Yeah, but I'm not 100% sure. I can look at that.
Don't quote that in a minute.
Yeah, don't put that in the
That's my own personal.
That was a estimate, not a set date.
Right.
ARPA, we've received final payment, I'm assuming, from that
We
number?
did receive a payment, yeah.
Nice. Okay,
Payment, did we get the total?
that is,
I
that
think
is the
it's on
total right here,
Yep.
on the one that's
It's on the
dated.
back page. of my-
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, the 390.
Brendan, weren't we supposed to get 394 or 395?
Yes,
For
but
ARPA?
yeah, but you've spent money on sound equipment.
One we did.
Yeah.
And we
No.
spent some on
I don't see
salaries
the
too.
total there, John. I don't have the financials with me. What's the final amount of the deposit that was made, Maria?
390,
900.
900. But it's because we've had some salaries and also some equipment taken out of that fund.
Right, I just, the last payment, I was questioning the amount that came in. The last payment from, the treasurer.
I can send you that total. I don't know the total off the top of my head,
Okay.
what the
It
payment
sounds like
was.
it's gonna be close after you take out the equipment and the ARPA administrator and the ARPA scribe or whatever title that is.
Scribe.
Uh,
Scribe.
That's what they call it,
I
scribes.
love scribe.
So, all right, cool, thank you. I don't have anything else.
Any questions, Lance? I saw you making notes, that just.
No, these are, most of the circles are to deal with the trustees of public funds, so just, this one, we owe that account 10,000.
Correct, for, the project down here, so that'll be on
Yes.
FEMA, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
FEMA owes the bridge account 10,000, or thereabouts. It was a bridge project, so we took from the bridge fund,
Okay.
rather than borrow money to cover the last payment on it.
Okay, we'll need something like written up, that way we can transfer the funds.
Vera took care of that.
She did
I
already?
believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I am not seeing any other spots where I have questions. Diesel fuel, we think we'll make it, Matt?
Close,
There's about
huh?
3 grand in there. Just throw them up in a half as long as the snow don't fly.
Looks like you'll be plowing Wednesday.
We saved in other places.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I should have said we did not spend in other places.
Great. All right, I don't have any other questions for you.
I'm okay with everything, I think.
Okay, if you guys have any questions on the warrants or anything, just email those to me or Kathy or whatever. You're gonna do them at the end.
Fair
So,
enough.
That'll
Thank
work.
you,
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and welcome back once again. I know Vera's happy to see you, right?
Yeah, she is. Of course, it took off, they're busy.
Well, you got to only do what you can do.
Right.
All right, so visitors. Are we, Mrs. Scoy? I know Paul is, but.
Yeah, we are.
All right, come on up to the hot seats there. I'll turn the mics on and,
Looks like the light on.
The light on. There you go.
Kenny, I'm actually gonna give it to you because it's all over here, then.
I'll hold them on.
Yes. We have another person that may be joining by phone, another visitor, so just don't wanna.
Great. Well, thank you guys for letting me join you guys tonight and bring Paul along. My name is Lindsay White. I am the executive director of the Missisquoi River Basin Association and also the Upper Missisquoi and Trout Rivers Wild and Scenic Committee. I'm here tonight representing the MRBA. We have a 25-year history working with our towns and our landowners trying to improve water quality in every waterway in the Missisquoi, so all the way from Lowell to the lake. And something that we are sort of reprioritizing is making sure that we're connecting well with our towns. We basically piloted this idea last year in our headwaters towns and went around and visited all of the organizations in our towns, in the 6 headwaters towns, and connected with them and tried to connect them with each other so that policies are similar in our towns, so that you guys are operating as the river flows and not just within political boundaries, and so that we can fill in any gaps that may be left. But, I know you guys have great support through the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. I know a lot of our landowners work really closely with our conservation districts, but there are definitely ways that we can step up and help out, and we want to identify that. Last year, our program culminated in what we called the soiree, and we brought representatives of all these organizations together for a nice meal, and we intend to do that again. It'll probably be in February or March, and so this year we're focusing in our mid-Missisquoi towns, hence my visit to you tonight. My colleague Ellen has visited with their Planning Commission and Conservation Commission, and we will, if you have other suggestions of groups we should visit, we will happily do that as well. So that's me, and that's the purpose of tonight's visit. A lot of what I want to do is listen to you guys and figure out how you guys are interacting with your waterways, how you guys wish you could interact better with the waterways, or any questions you may have about how other towns are. And then I'll continue this relationship. I'll follow up with you guys, come to another meeting. I want to make this a regular thing, so we hope to see more of you guys. So again, thanks.
Yeah. And I would add that we thank the town for the financial support that has come across for several years.
Yeah.
So that's another piece to this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we appreciate the support that we've gotten through appropriations, and we will be making another request this year. I do have the letter tonight if you guys would like to see what we're going to ask to put in your town report this year.
Yes, please, yeah.
I do have a question. I was curious what your group's input or opinion is on the removal of all these old dams that are happening around the area. How that's going to affect the waterways in especially our town. If they end up taking out the Browns Pond Dam, it's been discussed. How does that go into what you're thinking? Is that a better thing? Is that
You want to go with that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is sort of hot
Just-
topic right
yeah,
now.
just because, yeah.
There's a lot of funding and a lot of research and a lot of energy going into this, and we recently did have a meeting with a whole bunch of partners talking about all of the dams that we know of in the Missisquoi Basin. So it's like 240 dams in the Missisquoi, I think. No, that's too far, too many. 60 some odd, I think. And
That's a lot of silt retention.
yes, so they are holding back a lot of sediment, and the testing that has been done on some of those shows that it is highly laden in phosphorus. So if those dams breach, like happened at the Johnson's Mill, that sediment goes downstream and it's much harder to pull it out. I've been working with some landowners that in the Orleans County side of the watershed that basically want the pond dredged, and they say, well, that would get the sediment out. And the problem is dredging is not supported anymore. You can't fund that kind of activity because it doesn't solve the problem. It just delays it for a while, and you're causing a lot of disturbance when you do that. So the dam removal will take care of that contaminated soil. It is very costly because if it's at all contaminated, it needs to be removed from the site. If it's not contaminated with any heavy metals or chemicals, it can then be used on farm fields. But if it is contaminated with those things, it needs to be disposed of. So that comes at a high transportation cost, which is a lot of why those projects are so expensive. It does improve water quality in the event of a breach, and with these high rain events, breaches are going to be more likely. A lot of our dams are in fairly bad condition and have been ignored for a long time. So the other benefit of those dam removals is freeing up fish passage. So that's another lens that those are being sort of pushed through because of. We want to reconnect our watersheds and make sure that the trout can get up into that more cold water areas. As the main stem is getting warmer and warmer, we need to have that refugia for those little trout.
Okay.
So, did that answer your question?
It did. I was curious, because I don't have a lot of knowledge on what it's doing or how it's affecting anything, so I was just curious. You have more background knowledge and information than I do.
We've had one removal in town.
Right, yeah, Johnson's Mill, yeah, and that, I've talked a lot with the Conservation District that sort of spearheaded that. There are people that know a lot more about this than I do, and we've been working with the Vermont Dam Task Force on that dam in the Orleans County side, and so I'm sure that they'll be brought in they've actually been involved in the conversation about Brown's Pond, and these projects are not, they're not being pushed forward without a lot of research and study, and they need support from the landowners.
Was the work that was done on Witch Cat Road there, was that considered a success, beneficial in the end?
Yeah, so there's still 2 years of study being done on that removal to see it's been moving a lot, which means that it is still eroding, it is still causing more sediment to go downstream.
Yeah.
So they have replanted some, and they're going to be bringing in more trees in the spring to replant and sort of
So they're
stabilize
stabilizing
that soil.
what's left of the soil. Okay.
Yep, and they've been doing, all summer long, they were collecting macroinvertebrate samples and water quality samples, and that will continue for another 2 years, and then it'll be a little easier to tell what the result of that is. The goal is to make it a more natural system, so there will be erosion because that's going to be moving back and forth while it settles. But yeah, it is sort of horrifying to see every big rain event you're getting another flush of sediment downstream.
And that's just settling in. Eventually it'll make it all the way to Champlain, but
Right.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah. That's the thing, I think a lot of our water, we're at the top, and everything that's up here is running downstream and actually winding up in the lake.
Yeah.
So, it's trying to be,
Right.
we're the first step, right? Try to make sure that we hold our end up, because if it just starts going, it's all gonna go.
It's interesting because a lot of people don't realize that.
Right.
Yeah.
They all wanna connect somewhere,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right. And for the record, moving to the topic of soils and that sort of thing, I would like to commend Josh for his work with the vocational kids on a series of working with soils and geology and, because this is another factor that MRBA focuses on water, but soils are a big part of our water system too.
Not to toot my own horn here, but at the state competition that I told you we were practicing for that day,
Yeah,
16 of the top 22 spots were held by Cold Hollow Career Center students.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
was,
Gosh,
it was very impressive.
wow.
That also leads into my next question. It was quite a few years ago now, but we did that stream bank restoration with you over, oh God, Sheldon,
Yeah.
East Sheldon Road. I think
Yeah.
it was. Have you had any more jobs like that going on that I could bring students to so that,
Yeah.
or anything similar so they could see even something small like that makes a difference for
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah,
That's personal.
We've had a couple of
yeah.
pretty cool bank stabilizations on the Orleans County side, so
Okay.
it'd be a big transport, but I'd be happy to go out and look at some of those, and in fact,
I have a bus license and the ability to leave
Yeah.
school all day long.
Yeah.
That's fine.
yeah, I would actually love to get your students out to a spot in Westfield that could just use some extra willow stakes. It's a cool project, and I'd be able to talk about both the pros and the cons, like what was a success and what was a failure, and what we're doing to mitigate the failure, and they could help with that. So
Yes.
let's talk in
Absolutely.
March maybe, make a plan.
Yeah.
Get out there
Just not
when the
during
snow
sugar-
melts.
Not during sugar season.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, we'll talk, and then make a plan to get out when the snow melts.
Another project we've been working at here in town is down at Brian Wescom's. The trees haven't done well there, but we've salvaged maybe a dozen or so. This is right below the house, right where the culvert goes across on the left if you're headed north. So we are planning on this spring to do some more planting in there, and that might be an opportunity for your group to come out
There's the
and help with that.
dam removal below, drop the water table there and
Yeah.
stabilize things even more.
Yeah.
Is that, Paul, is that something that would be done during the week, on the weekend?
Yeah.
It's during the week? Okay.
If you've got some help.
Yeah,
we
we'll do
can
it whenever, yeah.
Yeah, just wheels are turning, like that could be a FFA,
Right,
community service job.
Yes. right,
Something where we could get a lot of students hands-on.
Yeah, we agree.
Right.
That,
right. And we can park the bus right in Brian's yard and,
you'd be surprised the places we can put those.
yeah. That's right. That's right. So, another one that I had on mind was the roads. Bakersfield has been through hell on these roads in the last 3-4 years. It was this time of year. And just by the project down south here, you're still working on this. And are there places where MRBA can fit in to help with, working on culverts and that kind of thing? And I keep wondering how this can fit in with FEMA and those pieces, and the state comes into it too. So.
The town does have a hazard mitigation plan that includes some of these areas.
Would that be part of, what is the one you're working, or the one we just got back, the clean water, for the ditch lines?
Yeah, it's,
I can't remember the name of it right now.
Is it a grant that we
Yes.
received?
Yes,
It is a
With,
grant.
with Northwest Regional Planning Commission?
yes.
it's usually turned up.
Yeah, I can't think of it either, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know a lot of towns are saying, yeah, we're able to fund these through that, but if there are gaps, then often we can tap into other funding sources and help you guys fill in those holes.
That is a great resource that we were unaware of.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
part of the problem with us, and it's something that I would like to learn more about town operations, is timeline. It's like right now is when I'm applying for grants, And I know you guys are like, okay, you're starting to look at your budget, and it's like, we need to communicate at the right time so that I know what your gaps are. But, but I'd love to be more in contact with you guys about how we can facilitate that.
What are, just on average, ballpark figure, what are like your typical, you know, like we said, we were looking to replace X number of culverts and stormwater mitigation projects.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Very good.
What are like your ballparks for, you know, to offset the cost for towns for replacing culverts and stuff like that? Like what's, you know, is it like a $30,000 grant, $100,000 grant? Is that?
It depends what is out there. I would say it's on the lower side most of the time. You know, we can tap into federal funding through like the Lake Champlain Basin program. Those ones come in a bigger one. There's they just closed a aquatic organism passage grant. So for culverts, as long as they're reconnecting wildlife passage, that one was capped at 150,000. So, you know, we do have some of those that are a little higher, but those are, there you go.
No, test.
So those are occasional, like once a year we can get ones that large, but fairly frequently we can get like $10,000 to $40,000 grants.
Okay.
A little more accessible.
And the way I'm understanding this is just to help offset the cost of towns to make sure that stormwater or runoff is clean and not negatively affecting the brooks and critters in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
like
pretty much, I can tell that story from almost anything you're talking about. Water goes everywhere, so I can usually make a link of how we should be able to support clean water actions.
I'm just thinking the more grants and stuff that the town can get to offset the costs for this stuff, I mean, it's just, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
To me.
Right.
So.
And a lot of these grants, the more support you get from groups, that you have a better chance of getting them too.
Yeah, funders love to see collaborations. They love to see a lot of partners, which takes a little effort, because then somebody's got to make sure everybody's talking to everybody, but usually.
And this might be something that we could put on the agenda for the soiree, to have
if you could
some
get
conversation on that.
if we can get 3 or 4 towns that want to go in together. And,
right.
Maybe even bid it out so that the towns aren't the ones having to do the work, you know. Any work we can get done in our town that keeps our guys still working on other stuff. That's an added bonus too. So
I think, Mac, did you talk to Tyler, Tyler Billingsley about one of your culverts, right?
East Bakersfield Road?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was I don't know if you guys are aware of that project, but so that's one of the things that I was just like sort of brought in as like, okay, what else can you do? And I know that Lauren Weston at the Conservation District and the Northwest Regional Planning Commission folks spearheaded a lot of that, but that was a neat, what you're talking about, it was a way of looking at these sort of lower priority for the town culverts, but additional culverts that improve water quality and are things that you guys aren't gonna have to deal with down the road. So we haven't funded that yet, but we now have the design, so that makes it an easier grab. And it was a neat way to, you know, we had, I think maybe it was just Montgomery, I think there was one in Richford, Montgomery or Richford. And
Montgomery had several, didn't it?
yes, yeah. Being up mountain roads, there's a lot of those sort of lower priority but necessary culverts.
I'm actually surprised that someone hasn't made it yet that we have the blacktop all the dirt roads. Because of the runoff and the dirt going into the waterways.
Blacktop's got its own problem.
So hang on, Lance, put down, just saying, I'm just surprised. But like someone hasn't come along.
Were you one of the ones that complained about your taxes?
Yeah.
I'm talking funding kind of thing, come out of the taxpayer payers, the papers or the payers.
Yeah.
I was just always surprised that I haven't heard about that yet. In any form.
Yep. And different materials, you know, brought in too, that'll hold better and that sort of thing is another expense, but it might be less expense than pavement and so,
that was another question. It's like, so there is funding out there for like the the ditching that we have to do, you know, over 8%, we've gotta haul in this stone that's,
Right.
it's just another added cost to the town that
Well,
we
we've
weren't
got-
really banking on this
We've
year.
got one grant already
Yep.
for that. It was 35,000,
31.
31
31 is the, plus our match.
Yep.
plus our match, okay.
Right. Yeah. So.
Excellent. This sounds like it could be very beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and communication from here in is key, so, right, yeah.
Anytime you have anything, you're more than welcome to let us know or come on in and
Yeah,
call Kathy. We'll get you on the agenda.
Well, I appreciate you guys' time, and I, watch for that invite. We'll be sending around an invite for the soiree once we get it planned, and would love to have folks there. Last year's event was sort of a mix of informal conversations and sort of directed conversations, and then we had some presentations from local folks as well, and we'll do that again, and we'll make sure that one of them is roads focused, so that you're not the only town that is floated to the top as a concern, so.
Right.
Appreciate you guys' time tonight.
Thank you.
Another closing too, that the group is really appreciative of is our chairman has stepped forward, and I don't know if you guys go up through there at all, but okay, that's East Berkshire.
Yeah.
The building there that was the real estate building right in the corner as you go out towards Jay, has stepped forward and invested money to remodel that whole building, and it's gonna be offices for our group and for Wild and Scenic.
Nice.
So this is a huge step, and our staff here, there's 3 major people that are working on staff, and we've got them into employee status now, so our staff is working more and under the employee status rather than contract, so.
Is that on the opposite side of Dick and Pam's?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, Terry. Yeah, yeah. So that's a huge step forward for the group.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're hoping to be a bigger presence and more accessible, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out, thank you.
Yep, so we're good on the request for
Yep.
this spring and.
Yeah, and I'll
okay.
get that in electronically as well.
Yeah, okay, good.
Is there a number on here? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Very good. You too.
I think it'll go in the town meeting day folder, but if you just want to record that.
Did you want to copy that something?
No, we've got a folder out here that we're putting all of the requests in.
All right.
Thanks again.
I'll send it.
All right, our other guests,
I got red, I think it goes on this
yep,
one.
absolutely. Our other guests are not here, so we will jump down to roads.
Roads.
And Mac, just know that if the phone rings, we may have to pause you. As they are on the agenda ahead of you, so. And we know how accommodating you are.
Yeah.
Roads are still there.
Still there, getting ready for snow.
Blacktop looks nice over there on Boston
It
Coast.
does?
Yeah, it does.
That worked nice. They were done the day, 2 days before that. They brought in a couple loads of concrete that day, but they didn't bother anything, or actually it was Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, that they're working on.
That they paved.
Yeah.
So that's done. We put 5 loads, I think, of gravel on the approach to the farm, different driveways down through there because,
Yeah.
but we got a little bit more shoulder work to do, but I don't know if it'll get done this year, but I'm gonna submit the bill for Pike and what we've done, maybe do a little estimating and then submit that for reimbursement, so that should.
Excellent.
Yeah, it looks really good.
This is paving.
Yeah, the pavement on Boston Coast.
It happened.
It did.
It happened.
It happened.
Now, how does like the markings, do you have to call the state? Does the state just randomly show up and paint, or
They won't show up again till next year.
they won't? Okay,
That in the past, that has not been a problem, but
okay. No,
I can call to see if there's available.
The gravel roads don't have striping.
that's
I
true,
believe it.
that's true.
But I believe it's quite costly if you hire a private, I mean, the
Okay.
state does it.
Well, I just wasn't sure how the state did it. They
Yeah,
just,
no, they sent me a letter early and said, are you gonna do any paving? And I said, yes, and told them it was probably gonna be September, and then they striped it in July or August, you know.
Oh, okay.
They waited for me,
Yep. Oh,
but, yeah.
okay. No, I just wasn't sure how that worked.
Refresh me, what is the town's percentage on that?
On the paving grade,
Yeah,
20%,
20%.
I think. Yeah,
And this one was,
150, somewhere between 100, I think it was 173 we set off, but.
173?
Okay.
That, I've read it before, I just don't remember
Yeah,
the number
I
off the
mean,
top of my head.
like I said, I haven't looked.
Just under, our portion will be just under 40,000 now.
34, 35, it's 170 something.
Yeah, we got 50.
That's just under
We got
40.
15, yeah.
That's what I was just looking at.
Pavement actually went down in the meantime.
Excellent.
From what, I don't think it was down from when we originally talked.
But it spiked and then came back.
Yeah,
Yep.
the liquid asphalt had gone sky high, and he said it's been coming down the last 2 months, so. He said hot mix was probably down $2 a ton at that point in time, so.
Yep.
He was expecting it to be 150 for what they did,
Yep.
somewhere in that area. But he was able with a 3/4 inch shim to that place below the barn.
Yep.
Of course, it took a lot more down there, took a lot less up towards Kelly's, you know, I mean, so it equaled out.
Yep.
But it did come out nice.
Yep.
Looks good.
And I think it worked out better doing it in those 2 days with them being done drawing.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting till spring, because starting to
back
cut
up.
grass, starting to spread, spring manure, and
Yeah.
you're not exactly sure when it was gonna get done, so.
Yeah. No, I was a little concerned when you sent that, but I noticed they were drawn out of a different pit and heading
Other pit,
heading
yeah.
the other way, so
Yeah, no,
it
yeah.
worked out.
They finished up over by Lance's, I think that Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So, and then I went up and talked to him, and he said, yeah, not a problem, and they were all happy,
Good.
I guess.
They even waited, they waited till after you were done to bring the last container back. They left a container over at our farm.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they,
that-
they waited till after you were
They
done
weren't-
paving to bring it back.
They weren't concerned about that, they just didn't want it while they were paving, you know?
Yeah.
And like I say, they had 2 cement trucks go in on the old barn side there, and they didn't bother anything, because they had a big enough apron and it squashed it a little, but nothing broke. So, yeah, they worked nice. Other than that, we'll wait for winter now.
Got the flat frames on,
Frames are on, spinners and stuff went on today, plows are in the garage,
winter tires.
winter tires are on.
Good.
The only thing would be possibly wings, but
Yep.
see how much, actually I had a doctor's appointment this afternoon, so I wasn't there. The boys could have actually got that far today, so. But yeah,
What about Waterville Mountain? Did that get, haven't gone over it again?
which part?
Where at that bottom? where
Yeah,
there was-
no, he was up there the day after you said something, because Dan said that you, no, I think I was at that meeting. And he got there the next day.
Talking just below the bear's den.
No,
No,
we're talking by the
it was
multiplate,
by the,
between,
yeah,
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. No, he went up
There was
there,
a pretty big,
he went up there the next
couple
day.
pretty big holes.
That one's always fun because it's right at dam level.
That's one of the ones we actually have on that we got approved from the state for that $30-some odd thousand is both sides of that dip.
Yep.
Ditch it, stone line it,
Yep.
should
Oh,
take
nice.
care of the problem. That one, Whitney, above Ross's, and I think she had Wally's Hill,
Yep,
I did go over the new bridge.
like that.
I do.
it's pretty.
That's
good.
very nice.
Tatro is supposed to come,
I was thinking, what a beautiful
This-
place for senior
this week.
pictures.
they're supposed to come this week and take that last piece of cement out, which,
Okay. Is it bothering anything?
No,
no, Rodney had mentioned it, and I don't really think he was too concerned about it, but
You're talking about the one way down.
yeah, way down.
Yeah.
You know, right at the, in the swimming hole. But Rodney, I think, was more or less thinking, why didn't
Why didn't it happen when everything
Why
was
didn't Paul
there?
and Cody do it?
Yeah,
They were
it
right there
probably
with it,
fell out after
after,
Tetro left.
but I guess Tetro has said they would come and take it out, so.
Okay.
Let's see, he said this was November 8th. Sounds like Tetro will be up next week to yank the concrete pieces out of the bottom.
Yeah. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but
It's for them to figure out. That's why they
It
get paid
is
the
nice
big bucks.
though. It looks,
it is.
somebody was actually coming out through before I went down.
I don't think you'll ever have to worry about the water going across that.
No, I don't either.
If it does, there are gonna be bigger problems. The state road will be gone before.
Noah, build me an ark.
Yeah, right. FEMA, give us money.
Yeah.
Last we saw, that was 2 weeks ago at least, maybe, heading for 3.
We should see money by the end of next week.
It's,
That's the end of their 2 to 4 week deadline.
The final payment.
no,
No.
That's
No,
400.
this 447 or 477.
It's a little over 400,000.
They,
No, because Waterville's
Waterville's not on it.
Waterville's not on it
And
yet.
the extra 15% of most of it is not on it, because they're paying 90% now, and we were able to ask for 75% of 75.
Yeah,
Even though they said they'd pay 90, you know, we couldn't ask for 75% of 90%, so.
Well, that's.
But at least there's
He said.
there's something coming.
He said it.
I've got my fingers crossed that we get this 400 some odd thousand
Oh, that's good.
before the 12th of, the 7th of December.
The
Is
payments.
that what our payments do?
Yes.
Yeah.
How much is on that?
And we'll have to renew the loan for significantly smaller amount.
I mean.
What is on there right now? I can tell you exactly what's on there right now.
It was.
No,
No, it's that paper that.
7.
What I was looking at, was right?
there it is, right here. Right now, on that loan is 734,000, 735,000, call it.
I was looking at that's in the office before we came in. Terry, did you see that? That's the breakdown of what we've paid.
I
and what
need
we've
that
taken
back,
out on
by the
FEMA.
way.
Yep,
Please.
oh, for the.
that's our total for the FEMA loan there. Alright, any others on roads?
Out of a total of 1.1 million.
I don't know if it's roads, but he worked for us some with the roads. Can we get some flowers to John Gilmet's
Yeah.
funeral? Oh, he died.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, Saturday. I think.
Saturday.
Yeah, night before last.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
His
Kathy-
calling hours will be Friday, 4 to 7. And his funeral
Is it 4 to 7? I thought it was 4.
4
Okay.
to 7, and his funeral will be Saturday at 11.
Yeah, Kathy usually takes care of that.
But I would make a
with-
note.
With Sarah Joe, can you just make sure she knows? And,
1 second, Brenda. We see you.
well, she has her hand raised.
Yes. When you're ready.
Okay, I think we're good over here on that note. Go ahead.
I just had a question, and I'm gonna go back to something John said about paving all the dirt roads. Have we ever done a cost benefit analysis of just paving the ones that we spend so much time on? And I'm thinking of the downhill, section on, Wishcat, that just always blows out no matter what, how much rain we get. And I know there's other problematic spots, but
Can I attempt to put this in perspective?
please.
Mac, how many miles did we just do?
0.9.
We did just under a mile. So you can call it roughly $200,000 a mile on a previously paved road. None of these roads that you are discussing are previously paved. I would bet that you could add to that by at least 30%,
Oh, and some,
if not more.
some base-
So you're looking,
yeah.
almost $300,000 a mile to pave these back roads.
I bet.
There'd have to be a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of paving the entire roads, just the sections that constantly blow up, like down in that corner on
That-
Trail Hill Road.
That'd last about 1 year, cause a plow would hook that, and you'd have a really nice pile of blacktop on the side of the road.
Yep.
Yeah, with all due respect, Josh, that hasn't been the case for that strip that was paved over, on the,
East Bakersfield Road?
road. It's gone to hell, because it's the nature of paving dirt. Most of that there is bedrock. Like barn. I know we spend a lot of money on doing it all the time.
These roads weren't built with the idea of paving them. They don't have the sub-base to
That's the
support it, and that's the problem. In order to pave it right, Brenda, we'd have to excavate down probably 2 to 3 feet and rebuild.
Yeah, okay.
I bet you'd be looking at closer to $500,000 per mile.
Possibly.
By the time
You could do a
base it,
half-ass, excuse my expression, you could do a half-ass job for $300,000,
then you
which
end up
wouldn't
with the
last.
same thing you've got over there by the ponds on.
Oh,
Bakersfield.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Yep.
I was trying to be a conservative estimate,
It
but
would be nice.
you are probably correct.
But not in my lifetime.
I was thinking if there was funding, when they kept saying, oh, tell us your wish list and we'll get funding kind of thing, I'm like, hey, well, that would be a great wish list.
We can get funding for 2-for-1 paving or 2-for-1 gravel on class 2 roads, which is East Bakersfield Road and the Post Road, but other than that, and
We can't get to match it, yeah.
with the mile of pavement we got out here and the 2 miles on the Post Road, by the time, because you spend your grant money and then you go to the bottom of the list, and then where you work your way back up till you're in the top, whatever, to get your pavement. By the time you do that, this one's gonna need it. I mean, it needs it worse
What's the rotation period estimated, 3 to 4 years
for grants.
to get back to the top of the list?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
I would say, that's about what it was the last time. So if you take three more years on this one, yeah, the first part's
Do
not
you put it
bad.
in every year though? In case somebody doesn't have a project that might
Well,
move you up faster?
They don't want it necessarily for that, they want it for, show the need to the state, is the way they word it, but yeah, you put them in.
The problem is we couldn't come up with matching funds if we, like if we got another one next year
Yeah,
and the price was the same, we'd be $20,000 under budget for matching.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our matching funds for this one are gonna be, give or take, $35,000.
Which will only leave us 15 in there, and we only put 10 in the paving every year.
Right.
And it has to be monetary matching funds, not like,
You
In-kind,
can do,
yeah.
you can do in-kind, like the shoulder work up there will be good for in-kind, but that doesn't amount to much. And then you got a road like the Academy Lane that could use some pavement, which is in a class 2, and
What we should have done is we should have tried to work with the school on that one and see if we could have got a break since they had the machines right there. Just,
oh, I'm sure they'd give us a break.
oh, they'd break
The
something.
guy paving, I guess, could have. I guess that's part,
Hindsight.
responsibility.
Hindsight,
Yeah.
for sure. Anybody have anything for Mac? I haven't heard any real complaints.
no?
Not that we just come to you with complaints. The fact that nobody has anything says you're doing a good job, Mac. Keep it
Well,
up. Tell the boys they're doing a good
We've been
job.
doing a lot of grading, to try to get ahead of the winter. Now, I don't know what happened over the weekend with road hunters and wet weather.
Yep.
But now it's supposed to stay froze up for the better part of deer season, so that should help. I mean, the potholes will come back some probably, but not.
That's part of life in Vermont.
Yeah.
It really is. I
There's
mean,
no potholes in front of my house. How about yours? How
Mine's good.
about yours, John?
My driveway's not, but my
I
main
was gonna say my
road is.
driveway's not good. Don't come grade.
yeah.
No, that was a joke. Don't come grade my driveway.
problem is
God, I'm not really asking. That
We
was.
got what, 2 inches of rain in one?
Well, according to some, it was a town road once, so.
Well, there we go.
This driveway.
Alright, any others? Seeing none, thank you, Mac. Alright. So, Terry, before you were here, we, in the consent agenda, we voted, there was 4 of us here, we voted to move reports and warrants down to board business from here on out.
Oh, from here on out.
Yeah, that way everybody has a chance to look at them throughout the meeting. And then if there's any discussion, now would be the time to have it. And people don't feel rushed to go through them, so.
And we have time after everything else is discussed, if we need to discuss something
Right.
in detail.
Yep. So I have reviewed the mail. Everybody was on the email from Linda stating that we were looking for a new zoning administrator. Linda, I see you're on here. I can clear up that one. It's not necessarily that we're looking for a new zoning administrator. What was brought up, and Brenda can touch on this too, is that there is a shortage of zoning administrators in this area. And Brenda brought up the idea of maybe having one that could work in multiple towns as a full-time position. And the towns teaming up, not really teaming up, it's not the right word, but working together to fund that. Correct, does that pretty much sum it up, Brenda?
Yeah, you're kind of close. And one of the things that I promised to do was to get into this. And actually at the last planning commission meeting, Bill Irwin gave me really good information. He said Northwest Regional Planning actually has contingencies for zoning being done in multiple towns within their purview. And so I have not reached out yet to Sean or anybody at the office there, but it is my intention tomorrow to spend time into that zoning zone, if you will, and get that inquiry going. And one of the things that is noted is that if we can create a position full-time out of 2 or 3 or 4 towns that would jointly employ an individual, I think that all can get facilitated through NRPC. So the idea is that not necessarily working myself out of a job, but allowing for it to be an opportunity for somebody that can dive deep into zoning and understanding that it's not that dissimilar between all 3 or 4 towns. Again, let me clear that up with Sean and make sure that I report on it next meeting. But I think it's a viable option.
Okay.
I did bring up, like Brendan, when you talk to them tomorrow, or when you have this conversation regarding the zoning, if you could please ask them if it's 3 or 4 towns that become a part of this conglomerate group, whatever, to have a universal commissioner across several towns. What happens if one of the towns decide to either back out or fire them? Is the responsibility now changed to 3 of them?
I think that by written agreement through NRPC, they facilitate not only the salaries and benefits, but also administrative costs with that. So let me actually get answers to that question, John, because that's a good question. You know, if all of a sudden somebody doesn't like somebody else doing that job, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a town resident that does that. So if you want to send me or forward me, anybody send me or forward me questions, I would be delighted to be able to talk to them at length with your concerns as well. So good thought though. And who's their boss? You know, is each town, all 4 towns going to be their boss, or is it one, we go to the NRPC and they get our concerns back to the zoning person, whoever that might be. So yeah, there's a lot of steps here, and I'm not interested in doing any one thing right away or quickly.
Brenda, how many hours to our zoning admin?
Yes, please.
10 to 12 usually is the maximum when it's really busy at 10 to 12 hours, but I don't think I've even hit that on a per week basis. I think it's lucky if I'm doing 10 to 12 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Work. So it just depends on the flow of the work. And again, that's another concern, because when it's slow and you don't have to pay me to do much or anything, if we're bound to 3 other towns and we have to pay consistently, 1/3 or 1/4 of a salary, I don't know that if there's any cost savings in it, but right now Fletcher has no zoning administrator. They have somebody who's doing the work but doesn't want to do it anymore, and I haven't even gotten to other towns yet. So But that's a good question, Terry. It's seasonal. It's busier during some parts of the year, and it's not busy at all during other parts of the year.
Thanks, Brenda. John, I'm gonna have you speak to the second question that Linda posed there about ARPA.
I had mentioned during the meeting that I was reading online that there may have been some changes or updates to the ARPA rules again. And I believe that Brenda said that yes. I've been looking out for these changes. It was something that came out in the communication, but they still refer back to the final ruling, that being the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. So I can't, like I said, it came in an email to me about new updates on ARPA rules, but I can't find it.
Okay.
Brenda, did you see any updates on the ARPA rules?
Thanks, John. I haven't dove back into it, but a simple note to the League of Cities and Towns, the person who's been doing the presentations for us still is deeply connected into all of the rules and regulations. And yes, I do need to do that. And thank you for the reminder. Again, if anybody has any questions, just forward them to my email. I'll certainly do diligence with respect to finding out what changes and what's affected. I know there's a reporting period coming up soon, so I've got to fill out an affidavit. Basically, we're status quo, haven't done much of anything at this point in time, but hopefully we'll move forward through November and December.
Thank you.
Thanks. So that was all I had for new mail. So at this point, warrants and reports. Was there any questions or comments on what you had there?
The reimbursement, there wasn't
We have a brief question.
authorized prior to.
Correct. Question on the reimbursement for a hotel fairly for Brenda.
There's supposed to be mileage with that too, wasn't there, Brenda?
There was mileage that has been paid.
Did you say that has been paid?
That has been paid.
Okay. We did not, at this time that this was done, have
We had taken it off that warrant, so it had to get paid.
the mileage?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. That would
We put
be,
a note on it that night.
That is a good question.
I don't think the mileage was in question.
no, not at this point.
But at that point, I don't think the mileage was in question. The only question was
The hotel.
the hotel bill.
No, it was both.
There was a sticky note put on, just so you guys know, there was a sticky note I saw on
Lance wasn't there that
the
night.
Hmm?
You were not there the night with
Okay.
the mileage, and this came, it was the night you were gone.
All right.
So my question regarding the report was, Josh, you had stated that you felt that should be coming out of the zoning board side of the house, and I just wasn't sure where that shows it's coming out of the zoning board side of the house on that warrant.
Yep.
No, I'm not, the other thing, just so you guys know, I did reach out to Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns regarding something that we need to see if they already had something put together in a process or a policy, much like the 3-ring binder that Lance has that they provided him regarding this specific type scenario. And they said, no, but hey, that would be a good idea, so if you get it together, let us see it.
Get it together so we can have it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, that was mentioned at that meeting, and this is in here as a selectman's order.
right.
I think that would be coded wrong. I think it would be in there it should be in there as zoning. I don't know what the zoning one shows up as. to be
Zoning
honest.
expense.
Zoning expense.
That would still be under selectmen's order, right?
I believe so.
It just comes out of their bucket payment.
Right.
So would a note on
I
this
thought
that
it
says,
was for something to do with roads.
She did take a roads class there. Is that correct, Brenda?
Yep, I took roads, and I also got some of the diversity training that was done there, and there was a couple other ones that I attended. I probably should write up a report of what I did while I was down there. I did get a free COVID test or shot down there too. So that was really, really nice. And if I could have done it differently or better, I would like to say that I did try to find other lodging, either through friends or associates and contacts down there. I did not. It was like I worked for 2 weeks to find somebody, and everybody said, "Nope, leaf peeping season. We got company," and it's pretty understandable. So I did not have any lodging when I went down there, and I asked at the desk if there was a room at the inn, and they said there's one. I got the last room in the Killington Grand, and I did get the rate that was preferred for the any of the League of Cities and Towns vendors for that. So this is about $100 less, at least, than it would have been had I paid the book value.
So I think what we do is we make a note on here that it is to come from zoning
Expenses, yeah.
zoning expenses, and with our financial, what are those called, the policies that Lance has been working on, and we've been adopting, it would cover this, that any stay or conference attendance that is charged would be checked and voted on before it happens instead of after the fact. So yes, so this will make a note of this, that it comes out of
The only one listed is zoning legal, and there is $1,000 in that.
what is this zoning right
You
here?
said blank zoning.
Oh, sorry.
Zoning 500,
Zoning.
Yeah,
only
there is.
250s, so there's.
The money's there, yeah, the money's there.
Money's there, so.
Yeah, it's not like you can't come out of that bucket, it's just that, just need to put it from the right bucket, that was my only note. I think, if I saw correct, Brenda, that you had requested to take the course at the select board, one of the select board's meetings, at the end of September, that both Tammy was promoted in and I was, because I was ill. I don't know how it was presented, but as I said, and that's fine, it was approved. What I'm saying is but I think what we need to do is get a policy in place so that we have something that everyone can follow, so that we don't get kind of, I feel that it's hard for Brenda because she did what she believes approved, and I think on the other level, we're like, hey, wait a minute, so we just gotta make sure we get something.
I'm absolutely on board with anything that can be policy driven. And it's a system of checks and balances. That's all it is. We got into trouble without having anything in place a long while ago. And I think these Lance and what we're moving towards with the definitions and defining those policies is absolutely a good thing.
Did you get that forward from me, Lance, about Patrick Shell being,
Happy with what we had submitted thus far, yes.
and thought that you'd let us know if we needed more?
There are a few, as an aside here, there are a few other management or debt management, fund balance reserve, investment policy. There are a few other financial policies that I recommended that I think we should do some in-depth review as a board with the whole board here and present.
Yep.
Before we make any decisions on it, is my recommendation.
I agree. I was just gonna say that we've only gone over one of the warrants at this point.
This is an aside.
All right. Was there any other questions? You saw the striking from B&H Photos. Did you get the rundown from John?
No.
This will make the 7th time he's given the rundown. John, next time just hold the shit for the end stuff.
Yeah. So B&H Photos,
He had family photos and he charged it to the
Yeah,
town.
he charged it.
it's the sound equipment, they sent us the replacement equipment, and it was under an RMA, they said we weren't supposed to be billed, but they billed us. So I referred back, they said, as soon as we receive the equipment, it should be written off, it's all back, we shouldn't be paying it, and I told Maria not to pay that bill. Otherwise, we'll be chasing that money to come back.
Yeah,
She did say, I asked her if we should remove it from the packet. She said just strike it out, initial it. She said she'll pull it out tomorrow.
But you struck it out on the warrant.
I struck it out across the warrant, initial it.
Struck in and initial. He wrote his name.
No, it's JHW.
Oh, okay.
It's all scribbled. I scribbled, so I was meant to be a doctor.
Have you got the new equipment in place?
Yes, it's working out. Linda, do you hear any squelching going on tonight? Or
can't hear you at all.
Everybody's coming through loud and clear.
perfect? It only took since March, but hey, we finally got it done.
Okay, thank you
Hopefully.
very much.
We'll knock on wood. I don't want to talk too soon, Linda. Let's hope it holds.
That's right, don't jinx yourself.
Damn straight. Oh, boy. It's open mic night.
What broke on the screener, Matt? Is that just
That was just a belt.
a belt?
Just a.
I like that. If we can keep screener repairs to that.
Yeah, I know.
It was a V belt.
Oh, okay. BCA. Did anybody have any other questions on any of these?
No, they're pretty straightforward tonight.
Felt like I was here way longer than that. Sorry, that was student name right. Maria gave us the rundown on direct deposit.
Oh,
During the fine, yeah, direct tax, sorry, not
Yeah.
direct deposit. That's not my bank account number. Any others or
please be paid.
Others?
other?
Yeah, so.
No, not you. No, go ahead. I'm just messing.
Others, I really think we need to take a half a moment and figure out when we're gonna do the town budget meetings.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
So just my other is take a moment,
Okay.
because I think we're running out of time, right?
Yes.
We are, but we aren't.
Go ahead.
So last year, what we did is we took this document right here
Right.
and went through it and simply went through and said, yes, it's good, no, it needs to be bumped.
Now we got a surplus here, we can take a little
Yeah.
off, we
Yep.
got a deficit here.
Yep, and we did the
Add a
same thing
little
with the road expense budget.
Yeah.
Is this one here?
Excuse me.
And then we have been compiling, request letters out in a manila envelope in the box out there. So I'm hoping with the organization that, Maria has here, we can look at this fairly quickly and budget to we can budget this fairly quick.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
You know, diesel's $6.50. Well, is it gonna make $8 or is it gonna be $4 because we're gonna open up our own pipeline, you know?
Right.
Stuff we just don't know, and if we did, we wouldn't be sitting here because we'd be investing money in something else and
Yeah.
making more money.
Those things you're gonna wanna put high.
I feel like those
There's
are
money
great
left over,
places.
great,
Yep,
but-
exactly.
Even the power company,
You know,
they're all in for big rate increases.
there may be some argument, with the people who are actually paying the taxes, and I'm one of them.
We all are.
But, if we do set it at $8 a gallon, it's still money in the bank that we can take off next year's budget if we don't use it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And if we need it, it's there.
Yep. And again, there's the general account. Sorry,
I mean, the
I
only
didn't see
other
what you were
thing
pointing
would be
at
if we
here,
could-
but
if we can get locked into someplace,
Yeah.
if we can get locked in
I
at
think
a
we are.
certain price, that'd be one thing,
I
but
don't think they're doing that. this
I
year.
don't know if anyone is.
They didn't offer it with heating fuel.
I was gonna say, I don't know if there's locking in, but I know we do get the high use rate,
Right.
which is usually pretty good. And
Or
then
if you
again,
have a deficit, would it be smart to rebuy?
well, That all depends, that's the gamble.
I know.
The gamble is if you
The whole
pre-buy
thing
at
is a
650
gamble.
and it drops to 4,
Oh,
I
you're
know.
gonna have the place to store it too.
yeah.
You see, you just have to wait a couple
Well,
weeks and see
no,
how.
you don't have to store it, they deliver it usually.
Will they store it for us?
Yeah,
So, I hear what you're saying, John. I think, could we make one meeting a month for the next 2 months, strictly
budget.
budget?
First or second meeting?
Well, considering today is the first, we better go with the second.
I didn't know, we wanna know if we wanna start in November or December.
I would love to start in November.
I can agree with that.
I think, the only issue I can see is that we've asked Maria to come to the first meeting, and I think her input would be valuable. Yes. So I think we will need her for those meetings.
We can all start on the second and switch over to the first.
We
Have
could.
2 meetings in a row, then
2 meetings in a
budget.
row. And then if we're not sound or settled after the first of the year, we could have multiple in January that are
You
extra.
mean like we did last year?
Right, an extra meeting or two to finalize for the, I'm gonna say probably January 23rd deadline. Is roughly when it
What am
usually
I
is.
put for a deadline on letters?
Letters for requests,
Right,
well, those all gonna be, well, no, they don't have to be built into the budget, they just have to be here before that 23rd
Get on
deadline.
Right.
Because those don't really have anything to do with our budget, those are voted on from the,
right.
not necessarily from the floor, but,
Will
Yes.
they be from the floor this year? Are we gonna
They-
go with open?
I think we have to, if I'm not mistaken.
'Cause now-
No.
Well, did we,
No, we don't have to. We don't have to, respond to requests like that.
no, no.
We
no.
have always
No, no, no,
made
no.
it.
She's asking if it has to be a open town meeting. Are we gonna be here in
In
person
person.
or
Oh,
at a location?
sorry,
in person?
misunderstood you.
No, that's fine. Or, I think we have to be in person per one of the guidelines from us going Australian ballot at the last one, is that we couldn't vote to go Australian ballot on the next one. We had to wait like 1 or 2 years. I can check with Kathy, but I'm pretty sure that was one of the stipulations in our last Australian ballot.
Well, it sure would be nice if we could have one in person.
So the next
Maybe
question
get
is,
people
so the
voted
next
in.
question is it here? Or is it, do we request the use of the school gymnasium?
I don't know how big the gymnasium is in the school.
About
Bigger than
three
the-
times this size.
I would,
Bigger than
Person.
this, but not that many people attend.
just saying, give people
Right.
space in one space. Not that I'm the only one sitting here with a mask on, but you
It'd be a
know.
lot easier to have it right here.
I thought you were doing that for all the people at home. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good, man.
I'm here because I have COVID-like symptoms. I did test negative, but I'd like to think that we could accommodate people for space and accommodate as many people as we could. And I think the school gymnasium would be able to afford us that without any problem.
I would
COVID
agree.
would be done if people would stop testing.
That's the key, man. Just don't test, don't ask, don't tell.
My thought is, it doesn't hurt to ask to use the gymnasium.
Right.
In years past, the turnout for town meeting, I've seen a couple years where this was barely big enough.
Yeah.
For example, the year that we tried to not double the budget, but go time and a half on the budget, this room was not quite big enough. There was standing room only.
It was downright hostile.
Just a little bit, Terry. So I don't.
Meeting in years, but I came back that year.
Yeah, I don't see any harm in requesting the use of the gymnasium.
Right.
If you're
Except-
going to do that, I think sooner than later, because a lot of times school projects are done during those vacations.
Yep, I would agree.
I'm
Tammy,
buried on it, yeah.
can I task you with calling Rhoda McClure and asking for
So
use?
if we do town meeting there, everything happens there.
Everything will
Voting,
happen
everything,
there.
this will be locked
Everything.
down.
I think that will, yes, Kathy, voting, everything will
Have to
happen
do
there.
Everything there.
Ooh, so we're gonna have to.
No, we don't have to do
Yes,
everything.
you
Kathy
do,
doesn't wanna
because
poll two
you can't have
places.
people
She doesn't?
here at
Okay.
the polls when
And-
you can't, when they can't vote on the floor.
Right,
Right,
so I think
so you
that's
have
what,
to come up with some sort of
well,
booth.
that's what those
Yeah.
units right behind Mac are. There's one there, there's one there, that gives us 8 polling
Yeah, we
places.
probably have to.
We've
order
got
a
2
couple
of those
Yeah,
There's
square
two.
right behind Mac.
Yeah. Oh, there's one all set up over there.
Right.
We're looking at the same thing.
We're looking
one
at the
set up.
same thing, 2 different spots.
Yeah.
I think we could easily order 2 more of those and have plenty of polling places.
When you think about it, we only have 6 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
Right,
yeah.
so we just did 5. We just worked with 5.
Four, five,
There's 3.
Oh, there's 2
Yeah,
over
there's like
there.
2 over there.
We have 5. So you actually have more than just those 2.
With just those 2, we have 8, yep. The handicap accessibility is not an issue because of the building. I really see no downside to it. I do see Linda does have a question though, yeah. Linda, what's your comment, question?
Check the acoustics on your PA system before you decide to go there.
Oh, you mean this mic system or the school's mic? What did the schools have their own?
What are you gonna use for your Zoom system?
Are we Zooming?
I don't believe we would be zooming that because you can't, I believe you can, or legally you cannot vote via Zoom. So that would be,
They have to come on site.
we could live stream it possibly, but it would be just for, observation. There would be no interaction on Zoom.
Right, but there's people that are gonna wanna tune in via Zoom because you spent all this money on hybrid equipment.
You can Zoom from anywhere.
Yeah, you can Zoom anywheres.
Right, what she's saying is make sure that we don't have an echo because of a large vacant area.
Right.
Or a hum because, you know,
Or a buzz.
yeah.
If we take these mics, they are really, the way they work, it comes right here. That's why when you have folks sitting at this table, if there's one sitting off to the side, you can't quite hear them as well because the mic isn't designed that way. That's why we've got these specific mics.
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
Yeah, we got a guy sitting in the corner that can
He
help
can
us
make it
out.
happen. He
Try
likes
to be
Is,
something
I-
that they could see after, not.
Is Ewan able to come to the public meeting? I don't know
Who?
how she's doing. Ewan,
I thought she.
she's the moderator.
Did
the president.
was she still willing to do it? Cause last I knew she
We
was.
haven't elected a new moderator. She at
Okay,
least has
she
to
has
show
do
up
that.
to,
exactly like
Okay.
that you guys did.
she at least has to show up to, elect a new moderator.
I think I could be wrong. You elected a moderator last year.
I thought so too.
I
Yeah,
thought we
I think
did
we had
something.
to.
Yeah, he's sitting.
Did we?
Yeah,
I think
it
he's
would be
next.
me.
Because she.
Did you?
Well, I was saying it's the wrong.
Congratulations.
You have
but I
your
don't know
town
what you're
book?
doing. Yeah, it's in there somewhere.
I think I took it out, Josh. I got too much in here.
She didn't want to do it last year. I'll be glad for.
Yeah, so,
Reserve town meeting day.
reserve town meeting day.
14th.
Yeah, probably the day, well,
Do you
yeah,
want-
cause it's that Monday.
So we're first gonna check about Australian ballot, right?
We cannot do Australian ballot. I'm 95% sure.
You have to vote.
We didn't vote to
on
do
that.
Australian ballot.
Nope.
Right,
But
we
it
would
has
have
to
to
be on
vote.
the ballot, whether or not we'll do that. for that.
And last year, I'm pretty sure when they gave us the option to do Australian ballot,
Right.
it stated in there that if the town goes Australian ballot this year, we did not have the option because we were gonna put on there to go for the remainder Australian ballot.
Right.
We did not have the option to extend it past 2022's election, or vote. So,
Yeah, we couldn't vote by Australian ballot to go Australian ballot
That's right.
because we weren't Australian ballot set up.
to be great.
So on this town meeting day, if we decide to put forward a vote.
Verbally vote to go Australian ballot.
Then you can do Australian
You have to
ballot
do
in
it on the
2024.
2024, correct.
Oh, you can say I want
if-
for the next 5 years, Australian ballot, you don't do 1 year at
But
a
you
time.
could start in 2024 as soon as.
We're gonna have to look into that, because I can't remember if it was a 1-year thing or if it was multiple years. Kathy would be able to give us
I'm pretty
the,
sure it was only for
It was-
last year. We just couldn't put on there and vote by Australian ballot to go to Australian
Okay.
ballot.
And I'll tell you, there's an advantage to town meeting day, at least people get a chance to ask questions, and I mean, I don't wanna get into, people arguing things back and forth, but there is at least a
And-
transparency to it.
I know, I love
Yes.
town meeting.
And then we're gonna have to decide whether we're gonna do the traditional during the day or do we do it in the evening?
What?
The town
On
meeting.
Saturday.
Town meeting?
Either do it in the evening or on a Saturday. Because
Not a Saturday.
I agree with you, Terry. I think keep it the way it has been traditionally, but that's been a question that's been raised.
well, if we do it on a Saturday, they're gonna make me go to work on town meeting day, so let's keep it on a Tuesday.
I don't get either or off.
Oh,
It's just something to consider. That's all I'm bringing
Terrible
up.
idea.
I'm playing the devil's advocate. This is,
I have to use
I
vacation day
forgot
for
about
it.
this. Okay,
Yep,
That's all right.
so there's plenty,
plenty, okay.
okay?
Cause that includes intake, yeah, okay. Alright,
John, did you want to update on what you found out about digital records?
Absolutely, I was gonna do it on my next other,
Look at you.
just waiting for them to go others again.
I was gonna do others in the other direction, so you couldn't do it.
I know you
Go
were.
ahead. You can.
No, let's go.
So my other is, at the last meeting, we talked about the NEMRIC land records modules, and I had a takeaway to come back after speaking with them, specifically Adam Saunders, regarding what the fees were, if there was anything per megabyte, and was there anything retention-wise, because it's a lot of records, and a lot of places will tell you, yeah, it's this flat fee, and you don't find out until you're already into it that, by the way, there's so much per meg, so much per terabyte, if you don't remember how your old phone bill used to work. So anyhow, or your cell phone bill. Adam has said to me, we talked about it in depth, there are no fees for storage at all. None. You're paying your land record device fee, which is holding it primarily, and you're paying your portal fee. The portal will not become available until after you've put in 40 years worth of records.
Get scanning.
Yeah, you gotta scan in 40 years worth of records, and then you can get the portal up, right where you can charge, right where they can get it for $2.50 a page, in which we get a subset of that $2.50. We cannot charge more than that because it's hard set by Vermont. And he did say two things, and he was very nice in what he had to say. He said a lot of towns think they're gonna make back their money with their $1 per page. He says it doesn't happen quickly. So he said to be candid, be prepared, you're not gonna make this money back the way you think you are unless you have a lot of records being searched all the time, and the folks who handle that transaction now would know about how much you're doing in a year. The other thing he said was regarding having a third-party company scan in these records versus having our own folks scan them in. He said his feedback from his customers have been the third-party companies, there's been multiple complaints about bad scanning practices and very long delays in getting the process done. They have multiple towns coming in. He says if you really want to scan it yourself, keep it within your four walls and scan it yourself, is how he said it. So you hire a third-party person to sit here, like you bring in a summer intern, or you hire Tammy, or use Kathy and Tammy during the hours that they're not busy here, or whatever the decision is on how to do it. He says your best bet is to keep the records in-house. That's it.
Or some seniors that need community service.
I'm sorry?
What seniors need community? They're gonna be all by themselves
They
in
all
here.
need.
They're gonna be all by themselves in here. We gotta operate the scanner when the office is closed.
Yeah. But all your seniors need community service.
Why?
Senior high school.
Oh, seniors, I'm thinking senior citizens. No, I'm thinking, why do they need
So she
community
having.
It finally dawned on me what she was
I think
thinking.
there's a senior moment going on over there.
A lot of seniors.
Oh my
A
God.
lot of
I
seniors.
can't think my mother doesn't need any.
That, you know, the
Not
really.
this senior.
Just looking at the accounts within the general fund, the book restoration book fund has, at this point, a balance of $30,730. Now, this year, up until October, we have taken in $6,000, so that's, I mean, that gives us a pretty good estimate. I would say that's probably the average. I wouldn't say we should plan on making any more than that in the next couple months.
And that
I
is
think it-
specifically for
Book.
digitalizing,
Right.
upkeep of records, things like that.
And that's what that money goes towards. Okay, so we could,
Well, what we were thinking, what Kathy and I were thinking is if we use that toward the actual purchase of the land module, the computer, the support, you know, the thing, and then if we took, say we took 20,000 from ARPA, put it in a fund that would pay, if you did 8 hours a week when the office is closed, that would almost go 3 years. By the end of 3 years, those records should be done. Or at least at that point,
if they're
just
saying,
do it when you have extra time.
well, if they're saying that it's not gonna be even available until you get 40 years scanned through, then I think it needs to happen quicker than that.
Oh, it wouldn't take 3 years to get 40 years scanned through.
Okay.
No, I'm talking 200 years.
Oh, wow.
That's what I'm saying. If you set 20,000 into a salary, like into a pocket
Yeah.
for paying somebody to scan, that 20,000 takes care of 3 years of 8 hours a week.
Well, I don't know.
You wouldn't need any more than that.
I don't know if you really even need to go to ARPA, because if you're looking at what we bring in a year, that's more than double what the service is gonna cost us a year. If this is saying, if I'm reading this right, we brought in $6,148 this year.
Yep.
In 10 months.
In 10 months. The total yearly fee is 3,000. Oh, and by the way, you have another 695 for the module, that's a one-time fee, right?
Right,
So-
one time.
Right, a one-time fee, and actually your portal setup's only a one-time fee as well, so instead of 3,000, you're $2,200 a year. You have all this money in the book restoration fund. I would think before we, and I'm not saying I shouldn't touch ARPA funds, I'm just saying before you use that from ARPA, you got money here
Yeah.
for that process already.
I mean, the
I'm just
$30,000,
thinking of paying somebody to scan it.
right,
Like
Right.
the
But what he's saying-
operating the thing is all enclosed.
well, what he's saying is the $30,000 in there
But there's
is,
other things you need to do to keep records up. You know, we still need physical copies, we still need to buy the books, we still need, you know, those.
think-
So it's not just digitalizing.
But do you think that the total of almost $37,000 isn't enough to do that? Between having someone here scanning them in and keeping up what we currently do? How much do we spend this year on books and stuff and like you're saying, copies
Kathy
of
would
books?
be able to.
there's
answer
zero
that.
expenses in the book fund.
Right, I don't see an expense here at all. I just see money coming in.
Kathy would be able to.
Yeah, I think that's a
Speak to that
question we
better.
had. But I'm not saying don't use ARPA funds, I'm just saying if the money's already there, why
But
wouldn't
I'm
we?
just
Why-
thinking like,
I agree.
just
I mean,
set some
even,
there so
even
that
if you
it's
were to
there.
vote in, you know, if you were to put in a line item of digitizing books of $5,000 a year plus what comes in, that's $10,000 a year to pay somebody to digitize. If
Right,
you're talking 3 years, I mean, what's $5,000 to, you're talking pennies that it, probably not even pennies, really.
You said 8 hours a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 times.
Have it at 8 times, what's this pay, 20? 160 times 52? 8,320.
So like I said, you may get 5,000 if you vote in. And you're
It's just
still-
you were asking how much,
Yeah,
that's
so
what
you're
it is.
you're still ahead of the
right,
game.
now, just add 2,200 to that, because that'll be the yearly
Can't get
annual
somebody to
fees
flip
for
cheese
A
with
little over,
services.
little over 10,000.
Right, that's the thing. Anyhow, That's the NEMRIC piece.
Nope, I like that.
You guys, he's back down.
Does he have, and does he, I mean, is he the only one that's offering this service?
NEMRIC is, I think it's the best one for us to do.
Right,
I think it's
well-
the most user-friendly, we already have part of it for the listers.
I think the only problem is I think we still, per the bidding process, we have to have 3 quotes.
I don't know if
think
there's
so.
3 out here.
Well, that's fine, that's fine. If we have, if we say we
Like,
wanna,
did we do a bidding process for listers to use NEMRIC?
probably back in the 1970s when they got it.
Probably not, because it was prior to all the, but there is a limit on that. You don't have to have 3 if it's under a certain amount.
I think it's $5,000.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 30, how much is that total for the first year? 36, do you have it in front of you now, Tammy? The paper?
It's right there.
The total on the front page is 30.
$3,695.
Okay. Then it wouldn't require 3, if that's the number. I'm pretty sure 5.
I think you're right.
Okay. I don't see any issue. I mean, I think the sooner we do this, the sooner it starts getting done.
That's what I think too.
Right.
That's what we're operating.
But the funds are there to certainly for us to get started,
Right.
and we need to get started.
And my understanding is that's what the purpose of the funds are primarily.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So,
There's a $30,000 slush fund there. I say use that term loosely, and we only need 1/10 of that to get started.
right. Refer to,
So-
yeah.
So does that mean you are ready for somebody to begin 8 hours on a Friday to start?
what we are ready for is
Well, that
you
would need
need
to be
to,
posted.
you need to,
It's gotta be somebody in the office who's working with the records. That only makes sense.
Well, if it's,
Why would that
let's-
have to be?
Because we're creating the index that we're gonna be using
You
to
think
access.
Kathy's gonna come in on Fridays?
No, I wouldn't be
Tammy's
seeing
gonna
it.
do it.
But doing the indexing and stuff and getting the things in, Kathy's going to be scanning in, going towards the
Anything new.
future. Everything that
I
gets
just don't agree
recorded will
with
then
these
be
people that
scanned
can't get
in.
jobs for themselves. I'm sorry, I just don't.
It just doesn't make sense to have somebody outside
Who,
the office.
I personally believe that it should be someone who does it already. Now, that's Kathy, that's Tammy, that's the listers. Why bring in, I'm not knocking a high school kid, but they're gonna have to have access here. Is someone gonna have to be here with them the whole time?
You'll
That's
have
the
to have
first
2
question.
people here then.
And then you have a training ramp
I'm not
up
saying
here.
a high school kid, I'm just
But
saying it
you're an
needs to be
adult.
brought to everyone's attention that could be
So
wanting to
you're gonna
do
bring
that
in
job.
somebody else to
So-
work in the office who's
In-
not gonna be
right.
working with anybody. They're gonna be working alone.
Or we could decide to vote Kathy in.
She has
Kathy.
to do it.
Doesn't want to do it.
There you go.
So,
That's what I'm
I-
So
saying.
she gets to decide, but we don't get to decide?
She gets to decide what?
That she doesn't wanna do it?
She will be
Yes, she
doing
does,
it.
Terry.
it's her time.
Yes, she
So
does.
let's
She
open it
will
up.
be
You
doing
just
it,
said the
Terry,
listers
as
could
it
do
goes
it.
Listers
forward.
can do it.
Terry,
They're in the
she
system.
will be doing it as it goes forward.
Mhm.
Records that come in will be, that will be another stage.
Yeah, today's record, if she records something today, she will scan it in.
22,
It's the back
2022,
records you
and
need.
she'll be going forward, that will be an additional thing. She will continue to go forward, I will continue to go backward.
I think at this point, we can agree that the startup, which is getting the service under contract,
Right.
getting the, what is
Device.
the device that, I don't know what it's called.
License.
Is
It's
it?
a land module.
Okay, the
It's a
land
hard drive.
module and the licensing to
Right.
use this system is, I think that's a go-ahead. Does
And
anybody
that's
disagree with that?
So
Yeah.
they're gonna come in to train someone.
No, wait.
Okay.
That's
We're
part of
just gonna
getting
get
it
this
set
thing
up.
started.
Right, but we wanna get the device on its way, we wanna get the license set up, we wanna get registered onto this thing, get our portal set up.
Well, the portal
No,
won't
we
go
don't
for
want our
years.
portal
Okay.
set up.
What we need to do is get the
Just
scan, we
buy the
need to
land
identify a
records
computer
module.
and identify the scanner and get those hooked up with the module and the licensing done.
So
Then we can
question,
start
That's
scanning.
question. Now you said a computer, is that an added cost?
Yes, laptop.
Well, it
Okay, that
depends.
wasn't discussed here just a
So-
second ago.
So you can use a current computer here that's
Okay.
on the network, or you can purchase a separate computer to do it. Just know you want something that, we couldn't use the computer that Maria used to have and we gave up on That won't be an option. Yeah.
Question, does the Lister's current computer have the capability of handling the system?
They'd have to log in, we'd have to contact Nemrick and just make sure it's enough to drive.
Well, we should bring them in on this anyways.
Yes, I agree. Because they're also gonna be doing things. in
They
that
could be
system.
invited to our next meeting
Right,
To
and
discuss it.
discuss this with them.
Do you want me
Okay.
to do that?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
and
So
figure out
Susan?
what we need to do to go ahead with this
Mrs.
system.
Evans?
All right, I'll find out the computer equipment
Is it there?
requirements.
Yes.
One more, I
And
think.
Linda
Yes.
has
Ah,
a
she
I
resigned.
think
question.
so.
I
There's
have a
only two
question.
listers.
Was there 3?
What's the security of these documents once they get digitalized?
They're kept in a, there's a couple things they do. One, they back up the systems. They're kept in a cloud-based kind of environment, that they're HTTPS environment, which is a secure environment, but reality is people get hacked all the time. They're as secure as anything else that you have out there. It's usually the breach in security is the person touching the system, not the system itself. Somebody opens up something they shouldn't, they do something they shouldn't, they open it up to viruses, malware, and or inappropriate software.
So typically, somebody could scan that document and create a new document, come in and look at the original document, change out an edited document in the book, and voila, you're no longer the owner of your property.
That's a perfect point, but in the same breath of that, someone could just simply come in, oh, that's a perfect point, but someone could simply come in and do that now by just, what you're saying is replace the physical record. That could happen anytime right now, right?
They could.
Right, I mean, exactly, I'm not disagreeing, Linda, I hear about these things, right, where people have their houses stolen through quick claim deeds all the time and things, it's and property. It's a scary environment we all live in now.
It is.
It really
So much
is.
more
So-
vulnerable do you want to be?
So does it make sense to limit the number of people who have access?
Well, eventually the portal will be open up to the world, you know what I mean? People will log in and that's the idea, they don't have to come here.
Yeah, but they'll be protected documents, won't they?
They should be protected documents, but like
And
anything, it's
And
all,
all the logins and purchases on this website, on this document, will be recorded.
yeah, it goes through a process through Nemrick. They never really, we don't see who's doing it per se, we just receive the check at the end of the
But
month.
that information is stored somewhere, because
Yeah, they have it, so
all these computer systems store every bit of information somewhere.
So they accept, so just so you know, and I can confirm with Nemrick that they have PCI. PCI is a, much like HIPAA and Sarbanes-Oxley and all, they are requirements by the government and organizations. It stands for Payment Card Industry. So they're accepting credit cards through a process. They have to pass an audit process in order to be able to say they're compliant with PCI and be on the system. I will confirm that Nemrick is PCI compliant. And I will also find out about the PC requirements. I'll talk to Adam again.
Perfect. And we'll invite the listers, and
And the benefit of this is
And I'll also invite
they
Kathy.
just don't have to come in the office anymore.
Well, I'll talk for you, Tammy, because it's really what Tammy said originally. Let's just pretend, God forbid, this building burns to the ground, you've lost every record.
Yep.
We have no record of any land documentation at that point. This gives us a digital record. We don't have to put it in a portal so people can access it. We can just digitize it so we have a copy off-site at all times. The portal is just a way to start kind of paying for what you have here. We can.
And what happened to the idea that your vault is fireproof?
All vaults are fireproof to a point. There's a temperature grade and a time hold on it. It's the concrete.
Well, more to the point, no vault is fireproof.
Right.
They will hold fire off for a given amount of time.
And no cloud is hack-proof.
No, it's the truth, but if they come, well, it's also water, is it waterproof is your second question, because if the building's on fire, they're gonna blast the building with water. Now all your documents are soaking. there's a case on both sides, and Linda, I don't disagree with you. I am one of these people who, this is part of my professional career, I'm always trying to protect things from the hackers. There's always going to be someone smarter than me. There will always be somebody who can figure a way around a corner. All you have to hope that your protections are in place, keep them at bay. It's just everything we do nowadays, we're at risk.
I know.
It's horrible.
It may be good in our lifetime, but in, your grandchildren's, great-grandchildren's lifetime, maybe it might not be secure anymore.
No, it's so true. It's so true, but we do have to get some kind of backup to these records, because if we lose it, we have nothing. And that could be as simple digitizing and not having to put them on the cloud.
Refuse for their records to be
Agreed.
digitized
They're public records.
because they're public records.
All right. John's getting that information. You've got an invite to listers, and now, don't forget, we also just made this next meeting a financial meeting for setting the budget. So, it will not be a short meeting, more than likely.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too bad if we go over it, and more to the point, we're gonna be identifying where we need to put our work in the next meeting.
I agree.
Do we want to trim it and like this next meeting, we don't have visitors unless it's urgent? Like they can come, but we don't have visitors speak?
Well, that's usually what we do on the budget nights.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
We
But
don't have visitors.
technically, via open meeting law, we can't do that.
Okay,
That's not legal.
okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know, unless it's a separate meeting.
Unless it's a separate meeting, specifically for budgeting, yes.
And we do have, honestly, and might not be what people want to hear, we have the third Monday of every month open. Honestly,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
hall is open.
Yeah, we get the first Monday too, don't we?
No, that's planning commissions. Planning commission's first Monday, we're the second, third's open, fourth is,
Planning commission meets out there.
no, they meet here on Zoom.
They do, oh, do they now?
Oh yeah, they have to, it's state requirement. At least to the end of the year, state required that all meetings are,
Well, I
Hybrid.
work on the third Monday.
I'm just saying, we have every other day of the week open too. It's Tuesday through Friday, but,
First and third.
all right.
Oh, right.
I hate to say this.
My others are done, I swear.
Oh, another one I was getting ready to throw
What
some.
about any status on refrigerator removal from the town walk path?
What was that?
Any status on refrigerator removal from the town walk path?
How many people are walking that path
Where the
here?
hell's the town walk path?
Right
Over there,
over here.
on the other side of the cemetery over there, because they end up on
It's
my
right down
backyard.
behind here.
There's a walk path over here?
Yeah, that's town maintained. I don't know, Pat Evans.
Meet you at the town hall, at the town garage at 10 tomorrow night.
What'd you say?
I'll meet you at the town garage at 10 tomorrow.
I gotta meet a guy from insurance and then I got an eye doctor's appointment. How about the next,
Sharon's got a colonoscopy Wednesday.
That's public.
I won't put that in it.
It's on the Zoom.
Mr. Chairman, would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
I'll second that.
I'll go ahead.
Who made the motion?
Brenda.
Okay.
Seconded by Lance. All those in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed? Your wife
Thank
would kill me.